The idea in healthy living is to work with the medical center and leverage off public investment in Scenic Point Park to create a great entryway to the city, so that when people enter Rowlett coming over the bridge from Rockwall, they will know I've arrived in Rowlett, and it seems pretty cool. When you're in the area, it needs to be comfortable and conducive to walking and other modes of transportation besides the car. To achieve this, we need a different kind of development that will meet the needs of Rowlett residents and attract new residents, particularly those employed in the area. Our current zoning calls for commercial and will likely result in more strip development, but not the development envisioned in Phase 1. We need new regulations if this area is to develop as something unique that our Rowlett citizens can be proud of.
And meets an existing need that the hospital has. It also adds to our tax base and attracts a different demographic to the city.
Before we get started, I want to address the elephant in the room, density. Yes, that's right, density has long been considered a bad word in some suburban communities like Rowlett. While we will not be delving into specific density numbers at this meeting, I do want to broach the subject so we'll all be on the same page before we start discussing potential building types.
When people think of multifamily, this picture typically comes to mind. For the record, when we talk about multifamily, otherwise referred to as mixed residential, this is not what we are referring to.
I happen to be a citizen of Rowlett myself, and I'm real concerned about the quality of development that comes into the city. When I think of standard garden apartments, I think oftentimes about something that's built for a short term. They're often built around parking lots. There might be a pool at the center of the development, a building at the front of the development, but it's really set up as a small enclave that is not really part of the overall community. And often the construction practices and construction techniques are in place for that building type are for a short-term building that would oftentimes support lower rents and a more transient nature of the folks that would move in and out of them. And I think through this process, what we've clearly heard from the citizens of Rowlett is there need to be alternative housing choices. There need to be choices for young people and choices for people as they age, but it should be quality development. And that quality development is often found in what we typically call mixed residential.
This community, most communities have to realize that you must address that pent-up demand, but be in front of it and dictate, again, the quality and the conditions under which you're willing to accept that product and hopefully someday encourage it in this community.
Remember, throughout this entire process, we are striving to create great places with lasting value. One attribute of a great place is one that can be repurposed over time. This style of apartments cannot do that, and thus is not a building type that the city will actively pursue in the future.
Let's hear a little more about what makes a great place.
Great place. Well, it's got to be accessible, well connected to other important places in the area, comfortable, projects a good image, where people are drawn to participate in activities there. So it's a social place, really, where people like to gather and visiting it again and again.
It's something that people know about, and usually it has an identity tied to it, whether it's a city, a destination.
Places are something that aren't just defined in physical terms, they're defined in community terms.
They're places with great buildings that start to create a space, and within those spaces are great streets where people can walk.
We sometimes think of streets as a way to, as quickly as we can, get through a place. But what is changing, the practice of transportation is changing, is that, let's build the street as a place that people want to stay. You think of the great streets in the world or in the country, and they're places that you want to be, you want to stay, and you want to be there as long as you can.
I think they help the environment, the way the street connects with the sidewalk, the way the building faces, and the space between can really make the environment or the space feel more welcoming.
To make streets in Rowlett great, we're going to have to do a few things differently. One is that we need to make more accommodations for people walking and for cyclists. This might mean painted bike lanes or wider sidewalks in some areas. The second thing is to reconsider planting trees on the street. We have not been putting trees in medians or along streets as they demand water and their roots can damage the streets and utilities. However, they're important for shade and aesthetics.
We react to the physical environments that we're in, so all of us can go back. For some people it's Disney World, you know, all of their senses, you know, what they see, what they hear, what they smell, all of that just feels good to them, or it's fun, or it gets their blood pumping. Other people feel very soothed when they walk down a tree canopy street. So, you know, it's really different for everybody. The great thing in Rowlett is you've got these 13 areas, so you can kind of offer a different experience for everybody. But the public realm is hugely important, the environment you create there. So I think what many planners and urban designers will tell you is a great place is a place that you remember, that you can say it's that place. And I would even trump that and say it's a place that you gave an address to. So in the Metroplex, and I say this without bias, if somebody likes it or doesn't like it, I understand people feel both ways, but Addison Circle, I mean, that's just an address, I say in air quotes, in the minds of people. Legacy is an address for people. South Lake is an address. Uptown is an address. So it's not an address in terms of 3400, you know, something street, but it's an address in that it's a destination for people. It was memorable in some way, good or bad, and it probably, because of that, offered them multiple experiences. It wasn't a place they just drove through and they forgot as they were driving through or didn't know they were there. They went there, they stayed there for some period of time, and they left, and perhaps they revisited.
Well, I'm real excited about healthy living because healthy living is one of the key gateways to the city of Rowlett.
I think one of the most exciting things about healthy living is the link between Scenic Point Park, which is currently being planned by our Parks Department, and this Phase 2 of the Realize Rowlett 2020 plan. Scenic Point Park on its own is a great amenity for the community, but pair that with the vision for the area and some of the higher density homes that might be in that area, it opens it up and it serves as a beautiful front yard or backyard to these future residents.
Our job is to provide world-class healthcare and make this community healthier. And when you need us, which hopefully isn't often, we'll be able to provide great service and it hopefully, again, help to drive down healthcare costs in our community so our businesses can be more vibrant and the whole community can be more prosperous.
The hospital is a great resource to the community, and we should be and are seeking to do everything within our power to take advantage of that and build on its location and build things in the proximity of the hospital that will basically complement the hospital.
But number one, it's going to be focused around creating a community that is supportive of all of the health practices of Lake Point Hospital, which is a key employer in the area, and providing support uses as that facility continues to grow in the future.
We see Rowlett becoming more of a healthcare hub, and so when we think about our corridor, we're really thinking about not only the wellness side of things, because certainly we have to be focused on population health, but more importantly, some of the other services that go with that. You know, we have great senior care centers around, but potentially longer-term acute care centers, other types of healthcare add-ons could be a real possibility as we grow our presence regionally.
Scenic Point Park, in terms of healthy living, is certainly going to brand itself because of those audiences.
One of the things that we always hear is, again, the recreational amenities, the open space. Those are all key things that decision makers at corporations look at when they're making decisions. And so this area will have that added benefit to be able to provide that within a short distance of where the healthy living area is defined at.
But ultimately, as we move forward with that plan, I think it's a key opportunity to continue to support one of the key economic drivers in Rowlett, and that economic driver is Lake Point Hospital.
And I think it will drive more people to this area as a hub. Certainly makes it easier for us to recruit those very talented physicians coming out of school. They love the area, they love the access, I think there's a lot of bright things ahead for the healthcare district here in Rowlett.
We picture restaurants that actually offer healthy food choices with the water right there. Perhaps there's water recreation with the new park that's being built and designed by the city. Walking trails, biking trails. If you look at the bridge in the morning, there's so many people walking back and forth. So it really, we picture being the gateway for healthy living. Not that healthy people can't live elsewhere in the city, but this would be a real magnet for people that want that very close proximity and kind of that theme that permeates throughout their whole lifestyle.
And the conversation we're going to have in the months to come about healthy living will be so important that we'll begin to set that vision and set that dream so we can be good to our future as our past has been to us. And I think when we look back over the years and our future reflects on its past, healthy living will play an important part of what Rowlett will become.